I'm so hungry. Pretty sure I just ate moldy cheese.
Yeah. I taste the mold now. Like,
Definitely moldy.
now that the like pepper jack flavor has waned, I taste the mold.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the New World Old Soul podcast. Thank you once again for being here, regardless of where it is that you may be watching or listening from. We so appreciate you. Thank you once again for spending a little bit of time with us as I welcome in my wife, Melissa. I'm not going to say anything about your physical appearance. I'm not going to call you beautiful, even though you are. You know what? I tell you what. Hey, like, comment, subscribe. And as far as comments go, leave a comment down below if you think Melissa is beautiful.
Oh, you don't have to do
I'm
that.
fishing.
That's just goofy.
I am fishing for the compliments, not you. So it makes it okay. Let her know. Melissa?
Everybody let me know last week.
You are beautiful.
They told me that I wasn't bulbousy.
Guys, she's still being weird about her looks.
And I had one woman that said I was being way too sexy with my stomach and that I need to invest in maternity clothes and that I shouldn't be showing off my stomach because a lot of men find that wicked sexy and that it's inappropriate.
Whoa.
And I want to know what's up with her husband.
We're going to have to ask, on that note, we're going to have to ask for a little bit of grace and forgiveness ahead of time today because Melissa and I are both very, very tired and operating on few calories in my case. We had a instance last night. One of the kids came wandering in complaining of some health issues. Melissa got very few hours of sleep last night, as did I. Plus, I'm dieting currently.
Yeah.
I'm starving myself, essentially.
Jeremy's he's decided not to eat for the new year.
Yeah, this is my dietary reset. I've been doing some intermittent fasting. Things are a little foggy and groggy. We recorded all week for Good Simple Living and things did not go well on my part.
I have been eating for both of us, so you don't have to worry about it.
Anyway, so if we say things that are even more dumb, kooky than usual, I'm going to chalk it up to that.
It's funny because I just sort of am weird and random. And originally when we started the podcast, people were accusing me every episode of being drunk. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're like, Melissa needs to ease up on drinking.
And it was only true half the time, guys.
It was like, yeah, I mean, and then now that I'm pregnant, people aren't saying, oh, Melissa's drinking too much. Now it's like, oh, it's pregnancy brain. No, I'm just weird. Like, I'm just really random and I always have been.
And when we pop in here, weird things come out our mouths because we're kind of on the spot. Self-inflicted, but it's on the spot.
I'm going to say things could get weirder today because I am running on 4 hours of sleep. Eli's cold from last week has turned into tonsillitis. He's in a lot of pain. He decided at 1 o'clock in the morning he needed a heat pad and a popsicle. So, of course, I obliged. But then because I got out of bed and then I got back into bed after peeing like 3 times, I got the worst case of restless legs that you could imagine. I've been having restless legs in the evening and at night.
It's like sleeping next to a toddler, kicking the sheets off of you.
Last night,
the way Melissa deals with it, she goes.
So last night, I just committed to doing swimming legs. You know, like the little kicks they teach you in swimming lessons? It looks like ducks
under the water. You know the duck.
We have one of those beds that you stick the wine glass on and you jump in. It doesn't move.
What? No, we don't. What are you talking about?
We have one of those gel beds.
We've got a nice mattress, but it's not one of those. Anyway.
You caused this. I can't sleep. My legs are driving me crazy. It starts at my knees. It moves to my thighs. It goes to my calves. It feels like I just want someone to rip my legs off and then beat you with them.
And it's really tough to sleep next to. Speaking of really tough to sleep next to, Melissa's also complaining that she can't sleep on her left side because then she'd be facing me. And given that I'm currently starving myself, I've got some wicked keto breath, which if you don't know what that is, you emit ketones out of your breath. And it's really bad in the middle of the night. And your pores. So I'm very, very stinky right now. This wasn't my goal. My goal was to cut sugar and carbohydrates out of my diet, but I am pungent. To say the least.
You smell like meat.
I don't know what I cannot deal with it. Brushing your teeth doesn't. It comes out from you internally, so there's really nothing you can do to mask it or stop it from occurring.
Can I be honest with you?
Lay it on me, sister.
I preferred you to be a little meaty than to smell a little meaty.
Was I a little meaty?
I mean, I like a little bit of a meaty man. You weren't meaty, but you had like the love handles,
like a dumpling,
and I like them. Like
was I a dumpling?
I like a man to be a little like a little
I'm trying to go
like a
trim,
little
Mama. I'm trying to go
like a
trim.
body pillow.
So the intermittent fasting, I wake up, I have a cup of coffee. Speaking of, let's chat here real quickly about
Yeah.
Black Rifle
Oh,
coffee.
my saving grace today.
Today we are drinking some Freedom Fuel roast.
Yeah, we are.
It is a dark roast, which is
Yeah, it
what our
is.
preference is here
Yep.
in the Souza household.
Mhm.
Delicious as usual. Mine is almost black. I added a little half and half because again I'm doing this diet and I'm trying to limit my sugar intake. So Black Rifle, told you guys about this for a number of weeks now. So appreciate and are grateful to them for their support of what it is that we're doing here on the podcast. Great company, very pro law enforcement. So, of course, that means a lot to me. They are very pro military. Dive into their website. They have a number of offerings, all of which are great, whether it be their merchandise, their coffee. We personally
We're
love all
kind
of
of
it.
decked out today. You've got the merch on.
I've got the merch on. This is one of
Their
their shirts.
shirts
You
are
guys have been
great.
enjoying this. I'm not going to get up because I'm tethered here currently, but check them out at blackriflecoffee.com. Like I said, they have a number of offerings, all of which are fantastic. I still want
Yeah.
that grenade mug.
I know. Jeremy, he's been not so subtly hinting that he wants the grenade mugs for Valentine's Day, so that'll probably happen. But they've got great mugs, great merch, amazing coffee, and right now, through the end of the month, on their subscriptions, 40% off subscriptions. We have a subscription. That way we never run out of coffee. I always order a little extra, and it's great.
Also,
So
if you are a military veteran, you get an additional 10% off,
that's a crazy deal, guys.
which is
And
huge.
It's the
just-
best coffee.
It's the reason we love their company, veteran founded, just a great company. They
Yes.
love freedom, America.
Link down below. Sign up for a subscription. You will not be sorry. It is a great deal.
They rock. Get yourself some coffee.
Oh,
What was I
am.
saying here though? When it comes to so I have this in the morning. I drink my single cup of Black Rifle coffee, and then I try not to eat for as long as possible, at least until 3. I've been kicking it. Yesterday it wasn't until 6 p.m. Basically, I'm having one meal, and in that meal, I eat as much meat as I can to kind of adopt and take on a little bit of this carnivore diet. It has been working fantastically, but I reek, so I apologize.
Yeah. I mean, if you're, yeah, okay. I don't know. It's
I'm
making
trying
it to where I have to sleep on the heartburn
I'm
side.
trying to bring a little sexy back for you, Mama.
I thought you were just a beefcake to start with. I
No,
just
really.
don't want
You know
you
what
to
it
smell
is?
like
Is
it.
I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to be, we're having a kid. I
respect
want to
that.
make sure that I'm as healthy as can be, that I feel as energetic as possible, which I've been feeling great. So hopefully I can sustain this. I'm not saying I'm going to stick to this diet for a really long period of time, but it was time for a reset. I was eating a lot of crap and garbage over the
Yeah.
holidays.
It was time for a detox. I'll do that later.
It's coming in the future.
It's probably not.
So we are sitting here jovial and happy, but it has been a very rough week. We don't like to focus on these things, but this year, kind of like we mentioned last week, unfortunately, we're back in
Ooh,
here.
2025.
2025, off to an incredibly rough start. Such a tragic week, devastating week down in Southern California. Tremendous, loss of life and loss of personal property. Been really, really difficult to watch. Feel for anybody that has been affected. We know some people directly and
Mhm.
indirectly that have been affected by these fires. Tragic, horrible to see. So sorry for all of you out there, like I said, that may have been affected. Our thoughts and prayers are sincerely, genuinely with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a little interesting to watch the response because it's LA is burning and the areas that are burning, not all of them, but a lot of them are,
Affluent.
yes, affluent areas. And there have been different celebrities and comedians making videos, and the comments have been a little rotten. And I find that interesting because it's like either the comments are you voted for this, because like in the Palisades area, for example, it is brought up that 82% went Democrat during the last election.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you voted for this, so you get what you voted for.
I don't think anybody voted to lose their home, though. You know what I mean?
No, I think when it comes to stuff like this, it matters how you voted because it's something to be aware of in the future, and it's a direct example of what policy can do and why
Yeah.
your vote matters and why politicians and what they stand for matter.
It's not the reason that this happened, but it could have been mitigated and handled much. I mean, this is still unfolding. I keep speaking in
Yes,
past tense,
it's
but this is
not
still
over.
occurring as we are recording this. It's just been horribly mismanaged, and it's definitely something to make note of, I think, for hopefully everybody, especially down in the Southern California area moving forward as far as politics goes. But yeah, the thing that you and I have been remarking on the most is just a lot of the online reaction, given the circumstance, geographically, politically, and then
Financially.
financially, especially.
Yeah.
It seems like there is not a lot of sympathy online in a lot of the comments sections when you review them, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's not a lot of sympathy for the wealthy, is what I'm realizing.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, boo hoo."
Right.
Like, so go back to your vacation home or go to one of your other houses. Well, not everybody has multiple houses. And also, if that's your home, that's your home. And if you do happen to be not, I mean, most of the people whose homes burnt to the ground were not celebrities.
No,
But if you
no.
happen to be a celebrity and your home burned to the ground, that's your sanctuary. And if you're one of those people that is so famous that you can't even go into a Starbucks and order a coffee without being bombarded, your home is so precious to you. And so I don't care how famous you are, how rich you are, when your home burns to the ground, that's your memories, that's your sanctuary, that's where you brought your children home from the hospital. It's the sanctuary for your children and their safe harbor, and to have your home and everything that's familiar to you and photos and precious heirloom jewelry and things that have been handed down burn is devastating.
Yeah, for sure. And we're not trying to put celebrities on a pedestal. It's not like it's worse for them than anybody else. But I think across the board, you should have a sense of sympathy for everyone who
Yeah.
has lost anything in these devastating fires. The images that are being shown are horrific. It looks like a
Horrible.
bomb went off. It reminded me of Maui. Unfortunately, we're not too far removed from that situation there. But it's
Yeah.
just fires are so devastating. There is nothing, literally just ashes that are left behind. It's
Yeah.
crazy to see.
Fire and water, natural elements are so incredibly
Yeah,
powerful.
very destructive.
Yeah. Wind, fire, and water. Wind, fire, water. It's Captain
Captain
Planet.
Planet, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what nature can do. But then you have a lot of people saying, well, is it nature or is it design? And then I don't want to jump on the conspiracy bandwagon, even though we love to ride on that bandwagon.
Well,
Like,
before you even get to that point, I mean, people were trying to make this out to be like a biblical thing
yeah,
to
act of
where,
God, Sodom and
yeah,
Gomorrah.
which I get the connection again, because many people deem, Southern California in particular to be like the most godless place in our society
Hollywood,
here.
it's our music industry with all the drama around that. Plus, there's been some really bad policies, some really evil policies that are
Yeah.
attacking
Oh
children and
gosh.
families and education out in LA. I mean, they just made a new law. If you are a foster family, did you see that?
I think you told me about it, but remind me.
Yeah, and I just thought of some people that we personally know out there that are foster families that are
Yes.
Christians.
hmm
And if you are a foster family in the LA area, or I don't know, it's in Southern California, or it may be
I think it's
statewide. I think
statewide,
it's
no?
just in California. If you're
Yeah.
a foster family, you have to commit to taking these sensitivity classes about affirming gender.
Gender affirming care.
And even if you just take an infants, you still have to go through this training, and then you have to sign this contract saying that you will affirm the gender of any child, take them to their
Or
medical
what? What
stuff,
was the penalty?
or you lose your license to be a foster parent. So this only hurts children
So you
because
uproot that foster child if there are foster parents who are unwilling to abide by
if
all of these
you
requirements.
if you don't agree to affirm any and all foster kids, even if you haven't even started yet, let's just say you're just diving into foster
Yeah.
care, you can lose your license or not be granted a license to take in children that really need homes and loving parents because you're not willing to affirm
Way to be looking out for these
this.
kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we're already, as a nation, short on foster families. We already have so many kids that are in the system that don't have loving foster families. And now you're going to take people out of the running that would be loving homes because they're Christians or because they don't buy into this gender
Because of
ideology.
agenda politics, once again.
Yeah, so I mean, just there's been so many things like that, or parents that are like losing custody of their children for not affirming their gender, and California's got a lot of really evil policies, and so people are saying this is biblical, this is a harbinger, this is like every America wake up, this is just one of God's judgments.
Yeah.
So
What do you think of that?
I don't think I don't know.
Maybe in part.
Maybe in part. I mean, I don't think that God like sent these fires. I kind of buy into that they could possibly have been set. It was very coincidental.
Yeah, I think the more realistic possibility, let's say, is that maybe there is some sinister, kind of like I think you're about to allude to, that basically there was this was maybe an act of arson.
Yep.
Seems like a pretty high probability that may be the case. And there are a lot of very bizarre, unusual circumstances that led up to
Right.
these fires taking off
Yeah.
and just annihilating so many properties.
Yeah, I actually spoke to a friend that has been evacuated from Southern California, and she doesn't like all the conspiracy theories that are floating around. She's like, oh, everyone just jumps on that
I
every
get it.
time.
I get it.
And it's sensitive for her
Yeah,
because
it's
it
personal.
affects
Yeah,
her
right.
personally. So, I mean, I understand that, but I think there are some things worth bringing up and worth being aware of. And I have a foot right now that is.
Digging into your side.
Yeah.
So we don't want to. We're not. I think the speculation is worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's become a common theme here on our podcast that some people will deem it as being very conspiratorial, but there are some questions that should be asked, I feel like, because there are a number of coincidences, if you would like to refer to them as such, things that occurred prior to these fires taking off, like I said. And I don't know that you can necessarily chalk all of them up as being coincidences, because the probability of that actually being the case seems highly unlikely.
Yeah, the timing's funny. So there's two options. One, it was by design, and that all these things, these conspiracies, do allude to some kind of a evil scheme.
This came up with Maui.
Or yes, this came up with Maui, and North Carolina. So
Yeah, these land grab scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah.
or it was just gross mismanagement, and I don't know which one's worse. Is negligence worse, or is just pure evil worse? With the evil and the planning, at least there's some planning and some thought that went into it. If it's pure negligence, then there are a bunch of leaders that have no business being there and should resign.
I think that goes without saying. And there have
Yeah.
been many, many calls for Gavin Newsom, governor of California, to resign. And also, what's her name? Mayor Bass?
Karen Bass.
Karen Bass. Also
Giving Karens a bad name
to
out
resign.
there.
Karen, who was not even present as this horrible tragedy was unfolding
Yeah, she went on
in
a
her jurisdiction
vacay
on
to
her clock.
Ghana.
She was Ghana, all right.
She was Ghana to Ghana.
Yeah. Let's dive into some of these
Okay.
worthwhile notings that you have written down there.
All right. So, one thing worth noting, LA cut $23 million from the fire department budget just months before. A lot of that money was allocated to DEI programs, which we can dive into that in a little bit. So, massive, massive budget cuts, $23 million. Also, on December 24th, so Christmas Eve, just of this last year, they canceled all hydrant checks.
Inspections.
So there's normally an annual hydrant inspection that was canceled literally just 2 weeks before the fires erupted.
Mhm.
Timing's a little funny on that. And then what they run into, a bunch of hydrants not working,
Yeah.
not functioning. A bunch were then removed. And they're like, oh, well, homeless people are removing the hydrants. Just all of a sudden, homeless people are interested in
And
hydrants.
why? For what reason?
They were saying the metal can be, so why have they never
Scrapped.
stolen them before?
Right. Yeah, why now?
Yeah, why now?
Mhm.
So, the other thing is there were multiple insurance companies, but State Farm was kind of the leader in this. State Farm dropped 1,700 policies just in the Pacific Palisades neighborhoods. They dropped 2,000 policies in Brentwood and Calabasas.
Calabasas.
Sorry, guys. 4 hours is Casablanca. That's a
Casablanca?
movie that is not great.
No, it is a location, but it's not.
It's not the right one.
Calabasas.
Calabasas.
Okay, you got it. Very, very
4
close.
hours of sleep, tonsillitis, restless legs. I'm so sorry.
This is exactly what we were talking about.
Ugh, my brain. Okay.
Casablanca.
Yes. Between 2020 and 2022, insurance companies denied the renewal of 2.8 million homeowner policies in LA.
Quite the coincidence.
That's a massive amount. So the insurance company's argument is we didn't renew 2.8 million policies because the gross mismanagement of the forests, the water storage, and that California is not responsible with their forest management, with their water storage, with their fire department funding.
Their poor decision making.
Yeah. And I mean, Gavin Newsom single-handedly, I mean, not him in his little tight pants, but he wears these, never mind. So he literally had 4 existing dams dismantled.
Dams or reservoirs?
Dams.
Dams containing reservoirs? Okay, yeah.
Like, why would you do that? They were already built. They serve a purpose, but for environmental reasons, he instead redirected that water into the ocean.
For
For the pike,
I'm sorry, the what now?
The pike. They're like little sardines. They're irrelevant. So they're these little fish. I say we salt them, we put them in cans, we eat them, and then we store water for fire season in California because it's ridiculous. So the environmental regulations have caused a lot of issues. And then the most weird thing was the Palisades water reservoir, which just came to everyone's attention a couple days ago, was drained for maintenance.
Coincidence?
Yeah, 117 million gallons of water. So when the hydrants had no pressure, when people's garden hoses had no pressure,
Yeah.
when the fire trucks
There
didn't
was
have
no
water,
pressure to be found. Yeah. There's no pressure behind it.
Gavin Newsom and on the president of the United States were going, we don't know why there's no pressure, but
They were
we're
actually running out of
investigating."
water, was
Mhm.
what I heard being reported. Is that, yeah, to your
Yeah.
knowledge?
Yeah, the hydrants were dry. There were a bunch of hydrants.
So Santa Ana winds,
That were dry.
fire embers blowing all over the place. No hydrants in some locations and
Yep.
no water.
And now the emergency alert system has been hacked, so they say. And a bunch of people are getting false evacuation notices. So I've actually been seeing a lot of people saying, like, oh, we got this evacuation notice, scared us, turned out to be a false alarm, no big deal. Well, it is a big deal because when you cry wolf a bunch of times with an emergency alert system, then people don't know if it's real or not.
Right.
And you're not going to pack up your kids in the middle of the night and take off until you confirm.
I'd say that's the biggest one, because what would be the reasoning for that, behind that? You say that we have all this looting that's occurring, right, with
Yeah.
these gangs literally seem to be acting in a coordinated effort, going to places where people have been displaced from their homes. They're literally targeting those same areas because, of course, nobody's home. They're going through homes one by one, systematically,
Yeah.
taking whatever they can.
It's been described as military style home to home. So one lady said that there was an evacuation notice within a couple of hours. She saw 10 pickup trucks filled with gangs with masks that were going systematically home to home, and they were only spending a couple minutes in each house. So they were in and out so quickly, and it was so coordinated. They took everyone's jewelry, everyone's safes, like, small safes.
Do you think if this is all, to go down the conspiratorial route, do you think if this is all being planned and choreographed and executed, do you think that this is a part of it? I mean, I know it seems like a very small, insignificant thing, but I mean, it's as far as
I don't think so.
creating an opportunity for yourself.
I think there's just opportunists and evil people.
I agree.
But it does show the nature of people in a state of emergency. And it should really open up people's eyes to the fact that within a 24-hour period of any kind of a massive disaster, I mean, you're talking California, it could be San Andreas Fault earthquake that we've all seen movies about and things like that. It could be something like that. It could be an EMP. It could be some kind of a hack into our electrical grid.
Yeah.
It's just anything. Attack on our homeland. If we're in a state of emergency and society is breaking down, which would happen very quickly, it shows how quickly organized gangs will rise up.
Evildoers will pounce. Yeah, it's so important given these circumstances and situations that you be as prepared as you possibly can be.
We mentioned a few episodes back that we were dedicating this year to being more prepared as a family. And seriously, this year has been off to a very rocky start, further proving that our intuition to do more to get our house in order is right on track.
So as we go on this journey ourselves, we want to share with you guys some of our favorite things and the steps we're taking to hopefully give you guys a good place to start for your own family. A company that we've always trusted personally to help with all things preparedness, from long-term food storage, water filtration, which is super important, solar energy backups, and even durable cookware, is American Reserves.
Yeah, American Reserves provides top quality emergency preparedness supplies that align perfectly with our lifestyle and our values. Supporting American-made products is important to us, and we appreciate that American Reserves shares our commitment to faith, freedom, quality, and sustainability.
Their products have become a trusted part of our daily routine here on the homestead, and most importantly, our preparations for whatever may come. So as we all maneuver this new year and all the crazy stuff that we're seeing across the country and the world, we can all take steps toward making sure that our own families and homes are more prepared.
Now, of course, do as much as you can, but an excellent place to start is at least a 30-day food supply for every member of your home. A water filtration system, an off-grid cooking method, an emergency bug-out bag, and some form of portable solar backup power, and American Reserves is a great one-stop place to do all of that.
So if you're looking to enhance your own preparedness with dependable American-made products, visit AmericanReserves.com and use our code SUZA, SOUZA at checkout to enjoy a 15% off discount exclusively for our community.
And we see it in movies. We see like, end of the world type movies and gangs going house to house. I mean, The Walking Dead, they had it. In this movie, the Obamas did, they had
Yeah,
it.
human nature is what it is.
And I think that's a very real scenario.
We're seeing it.
Yeah. So, and yeah, we're seeing it in California.
Yep.
It happened right away. So I don't know. I have no patience for thieves, like something like that. I'm like, why don't they just put the National Guard at the gates of the neighborhood, and when these gangs pull up, like just eliminate them from the globe.
Different crises and circumstances, dire circumstances will bring on, they will reveal the character in people. I mean, conversely, we have a number of people you referenced earlier, that Candace Cameron Bure, friend of the show. We had her here on the podcast. She lived in the Pacific Palisades area before relocating with her family recently to another state. They left the area entirely, but her home that was there has burned.
Yeah.
I think she coincidentally was in the area at the time, and she's now, putting in efforts to help everybody that's being negatively affected by these fires and everything that's happening down there, which is beautiful to see. And I know she's not the only one. So while we are saying that, yeah, there are evildoers who will pounce at the opportunity that's being provided to them, conversely, there are a number of people out there who are doing amazing things, the right thing.
Right. Yeah. You see the best in people and you see the worst in people when these kind of situations break out. I wish everyone was just diving in and helping, because I know there's no water for a lot of these places. Even if you have like people that we know have no power or water, it's all been cut off to their properties, even though they're not even under evacuation notices yet. But if you are in a fire affected area, the water coming out of your tap, if you happen to have water coming out of your tap or your hoses, is contaminated. And now water is gone in all the stores. So there's a lot of different things going on. And this is not over. They have winds are returning this week, and fires are still low containment. I mean, at least there's
so as we're recording this, I believe it's reported that there are over 10,000 structures that have been burned, and I think the current death toll is at 11 or 12 people.
I think they said 12 people.
As it stands, that's going to go up. Looking at these images, it's going to go up. Again, it reminds me of Maui.
Yeah, they haven't gone house to house yet.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's praying that it's not very catastrophic, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't present well.
Yeah, it's just so sad. But a lot of it is the fire department is being criticized for reallocating their funds to this whole DEI initiative. And they did a bunch of spending. They said a couple years ago that their department was too white and too male, and they wanted to change that. So the deputy chief, she is an interesting gal. Did you see that video with her?
You showed me, yeah. So we're gonna play this video for you. Yeah. It is of the deputy chief from the fire department down in LA, and it's her concern that's being expressed publicly on this recorded video where she's sitting in front of a camera, is that there is a lack of diversity essentially in the fire department, and that it is very important that when somebody runs into your home when you are in dire need of let's say rescue, that you are able to look at the person who is coming to serve as your rescuer, and that you identify with that person as being somebody that, hey, is the same race as me, or has the same has the same sexual orientation as me. Things that are completely irrelevant in a dire circumstance.
Yeah.
She's making this their priority. Again, on video. It's one thing to believe this. It's another thing to record it and put it out there for the world.
I know. Like, in reality, if I need rescuing, I want someone that looks like G.I. Joe coming through that door.
I don't give a crap. Okay, this is going to become an argument about gender. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If it comes to you serving in any propensity, any position, I have a law enforcement background. I don't care if you're a male or a female, but you better be able to uphold the minimum level of expectations that are placed upon you in your duties. So it doesn't matter. However, when it comes to, let's be real about it, when it comes to fighting fires, rescuing people, it so oftentimes requires a little bit of male aggression. That toxic masculinity that keeps being referenced is such a tremendous asset in so many of these circumstances. It really is. So I don't know why it is that we're trying to disparage males, especially white males as a whole, when it comes to these positions. It's such a bizarre thing to focus on.
It's not just these positions. So here, I'll show you this video.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
To so boldly
Yeah.
make a statement as the deputy chief of any fire department is insane to me. How this person, male, female, whatever it is,
It's a girl.
someone's concern in the moment is going to be that they see somebody who is reflects their own person. Nobody cares if you need help and someone's coming to help you. You don't care what that person looks like. That's the furthest thing from your mind. But that last statement about if your husband needs to be rescued and they need to be carried out, that's basically on them. To make a statement like that as somebody who's serving in that capacity as a first responder is disturbing, and she should be removed from her position. She should be a firefighter at all, because you are not upholding, like I said, what just the very foundation of what your motivations should be for doing that job. That's crazy to me.
It's an insane statement. If you are in a fire and you need to be carried out, it's because you've either lost consciousness or something like that. It's not because you put yourself in a bad situation.
Nope.
Emergencies happen.
Yep.
So what if you're in a burning car? Let's say you are the victim of a head-on crash with a drunk driver and now your car's on fire. Did you put yourself in a bad position?
So what's the logic? What's the logic there? Oh, sir, you're a homosexual Asian. Sorry, I'm a heterosexual Hispanic man. So I'm gonna find somebody else that might reflect you and your personal value. No. There's a job that needs to be done. There is a person in need. You step up. It is literally your responsibility and role as a firefighter to do exactly that.
Yeah, these DEI programs we're seeing them across the board. We're seeing them in our medical fields with doctor hires. I mean, they're literally hiring surgeons and doctors and nurses at the bottom of their class based on their sexual orientation, race, and gender.
None of this should matter.
None of that should matter. They should be seeking the best and most capable surgeons. If I need surgery, I don't want someone that looks like me and is diverse. I want somebody who is the best at what they do. If they happen to look like me, okay.
Bonus. I've always said,
not even a bonus. I literally don't care.
I'm with you. I have the solution to all of this, and it is blind hiring. We are the foundation of our country when it comes to things like this is that we are supposed to be a meritocracy. Is that the most qualified applicant or candidate is supposed to be the one who gets hired in theory, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a blind hiring. Don't know if you're male or female. If we want to do an interview, we do that blindly as well. You might be able to identify somebody as being male or female at that point, but past that, and none of these things should matter. Are you qualified and capable of whatever position it is that you're desiring for yourself? It's literally the only thing that should matter. And coming from a public safety background myself, like these discussions are so incredibly frustrating because it is not something that's unique to the LAFD.
No.
This civil service as a whole. The military, I'm sure the same thing exists there. You see people rise into positions of power, being promoted, being given a helpful little boost, even though it is known widely amongst the rank and file that person may not be the most deserving of said position. I'm sorry, that's just the cold, hard reality of what you see so oftentimes nowadays. And in the last 15 years, let's say, ask anybody who operates in civil service and they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I know if I'm getting on an airplane, I don't care if the pilot looks like me or I can relate to them or we have similar piercings or whatever. I care that they are the best pilot and
best for the job, no matter what it is. Yeah.
That they can sully it if necessary. And
Captain Sully.
Yeah. Like that's way more important when I'm putting my family on an airplane than a diversity hire. I don't want a diversity hire. I want the best pilot there is. I don't want a diversity hire if I need surgery. I want the best surgeon there is.
Speaking of surgery, you and I took in a very interesting film last night that's being put out by Turning Point USA and the Daily Wire. Collaborative effort. It was put out on X.
Well, it's streaming on Daily Wire right now, actually. It's just came out.
Name of the movie?
It is called Identity Crisis. Guys, it is excellent. Like if you are a parent, if you are a grandparent, if you are a concerned citizen, if you agree with the trans movement, if you don't, if you have a teenager, This film is graphic, but I promise you it's nothing that they're not seeing on the internet or talking about with their friends. If you have a teenager that attends public school, please have them watch this. Sit down and watch it and discuss it with your child, with your grandchild, with
Yeah,
one
I,
another.
I would urge and implore everyone out there to take this film in if possible. It,
So
it
good.
was, you said it was graphic at times. I just thought it was the most
It was
effective and
honest.
powerful piece of content that I've ever seen anywhere when it comes to addressing this issue and the evil that is persisting in our society, in our culture, to where we have young people who are being intentionally led astray, resulting in the horrific mangling, which you see in this film, the horrific
Mhm.
mangling of their bodies, of their person. It is disgusting, disturbing, but this piece of content, this film, like I said, does such a good job of illuminating and highlighting just how broken our world is today when it comes to this issue. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. It was shocking. So Daily Wire puts out a lot of good content. We actually joined when they did What is a Woman? And then
Shout out Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh, yes, he's also a friend of the podcast. I don't know if he knows that, but you're a friend.
Yeah.
So we're best friends. So they've put out some amazing films, podcasts, documentaries, series. They have so much content, but this in particular is their new one. So worth joining Daily Wire Plus to view this and then just dig into all their other content. They've got some great stuff coming up. But this film was honest. It did not beat around the bush. They showed everything, which I think is so important because there's an ugly reality to it, and they showed that. And it was great. So if you are interested in viewing this, if you're interested in joining Daily Wire Plus, if you've been on the fence, now's a great time because if you go to getdwplus.com/NWOS and use our code NWOS30, you will get 30% off your annual subscription. You guys are going to love it, and we'll link all of that down below.
Yeah, you guys know that we've been partnered with Daily Wire Plus here for a while now. We love what they do. Again, I cannot reiterate this enough. This in watching this film, you and I, we just watched it last night. The visuals.
Yeah.
I had an understanding of what it is that occurs when it comes to like gender reassignment surgeries. I think I was a little off base, and this did a great job of, like I said, just making it so much more real, which made it all the more disturbing to see these body parts being ripped away
Yeah.
from these young people
Yeah.
and then reconstructed in a way that just comes across as like absolutely demonic, was so disturbing to literally see. It's one thing to try and imagine and envision it in your head. Literally seeing these images were just, I was, you and I were like making statements out loud, watching it to the TV. Like, what is going on?
It was like Nazi doctors that
It
are
was
just playing
crazy.
around. It was so Frankenstein. And we're doing this to children and to minors, and watching parents talk about the realities of what their kids are going through and trying to fight for their kids, or other parents that are just buying into this ideology and then literally sacrificing their children to this social experiment.
Yeah, the parents are part of this. They're being led astray as well, to where they're signing off sometimes, not all of the time, which is even
Right.
worse.
Even worse.
But these parents are being led astray, and they're signing off on these procedures that are just mangling their children and leaving them to where they won't enjoy any
No.
like sexual relationship in the future. They will lack the ability to have children. And all of this is information that is suppressed and kept from not only the children, but also the parents. And I think just our society as a whole. The movie was so impactful. It really, really was.
Well, and they pointed out that if left alone, 87% of minors will end up resorting back to their born gender.
Yes.
You know, the gender that they are.
Yeah.
And if you just leave it alone, I mean, that's almost 90%.
Again, when you pepper somebody with this of like, hey, after a while, they're going to start being like, well, yeah, maybe I should be questioning
Yeah.
my gender
for
identity.
Sure. Yeah. Like we used to have tomboys, you know, and now if you're a tomboy, it's like, well,
Oh,
maybe you're a boy.
Maybe you're a boy.
Maybe you want puberty blockers.
You're an effeminate 13-year-old male. Well, maybe you're a girl.
Yeah. So
And honey, now you can do that. You can, if you want to be a woman, you can be a woman.
yeah, but the problem with these puberty blockers is they keep saying they're reversible. They used to be reversible. Well, They were originally designed not for this purpose. They were designed for kids that went through puberty at a really early age and it was causing issues. So there were kids that were going through puberty at like 5 years old. Very rare, but that's why the drug existed. And it was to postpone puberty until the appropriate time to then go through puberty. But when you give a puberty blocker at the time of puberty, you mess up everything. I mean, it messes up the calcium that goes to your bones. It messes up your brain development because your brain is rapidly developing at that time and making connections, and your frontal lobe is forming and all of these things. And then you're stopping that, and that is not reversible. And then it goes on. Most of the kids, I mean, I think it's like 90% of the kids that do the puberty blockers go on to do the cross-sex hormones, not understanding what that does. It is permanent sterilization.
It's just another one of those issues and topics where I feel like the population at large, like there's such a disconnect between just, oh, here's what I want for little Susie
Gender
or Jeff,
affirming.
as affirmed to being confronted with the reality of it. It's kind of like the abortion argument. It's the same thing of like, everything sounds fluffy. Like, oh, don't you want to look out for little Susie and choice? And remember that I told you, like,
women's
even in the
rights
film,
and choice. But then when you see the reality of that, go watch.
but even the propaganda that they're just like bombarded with. Remember, even at the clinic, there's like everywhere, like every single wall is covered in just BS propaganda, and you belong here. Like I told you, I interpret that in such a demonic way. Like it is so disturbing, especially when you take into consideration the element of keeping parents out of the equation entirely. To where, again, in the state of California, where so much of this runs rampant, schools, administration, staff are all to withhold information from parents when it comes to this issue, and they are to affirm these kids and provide them with guidance on how to proceed, all with leaving mom and dad out of it. It is just flat out evil, and it never, I feel like with no other situation has it ever been made so abundantly obvious. It's like they're not even trying to mask it. It is just pure evil.
And again, who do they go after?
The kids.
Children. Always go after the children. So it's so satanic. I mean, he always goes after the children and the babies and the innocent. And we're seeing it just in plain sight, and listening to these people. Like when you really look in their faces when they're explaining this, it's like, oh no, this is great. This is
but to be fair,
so
there were a lot of even transgendered adults who were like, no, this should not be happening, and this shouldn't be how the system operates and works, and it's not where we should be allocating tax dollars ever. We should not be taking part in this. We should be standing up against it. Nobody should be in favor of doing this to young kids.
Yeah, something I just learned last night was that Planned Parenthood was actually the biggest supplier of these cross-sex hormones and these gender blockers, or these puberty blockers that are also being handed out by school nurses. They can't give your kid a stinking Tylenol, but they can give them puberty blockers without your knowledge. They can call your child by a name that you didn't name them in school. They can do all these things. And for the teachers that are refusing to go along with this charade and this evil, they're literally facing being fired.
To tie this back into the fires and everything that's happening down in Southern California. So in California, and I think the reason that so many people do have a lack of sympathy is that, again, you have a government that no longer looks out for your Joe Schmo average citizen. Instead, they are fighting for an agenda where they place all of their time and money into these things. None of this matters.
These social experiments.
This isn't the reason that anyone is elected into your local office for anything, mayor, governor, what have you. Like, this is not what it is that we are supposed to be spending our time and money on.
Jeremy and I have been gold and silver owners since the very beginning of our relationship. In fact, I first learned about precious metals from my grandfather and from my uncle, who gave us kids silver coins every Christmas and taught us the importance of real money.
Yeah, gold and silver have been the currency of the world for thousands of years. Paper currencies like the dollar get overprinted and lose their value over time. Gold and silver, however, will always hold value because you can't make more of it. That's why we personally own it, why we wanted to encourage our viewers to learn more about it as well.
Now, don't get us wrong. We have high hopes for Trump and America, but he has a huge job ahead of him. But something that you can do now is start protecting your own wealth against the past legacy of insane money printing and inflation by buying some gold right now.
Yeah, gold and silver have been our family's safety net over the years, which is why we recommend you to stay proactive and protect your hard-earned money. Call our friends at Lear Capital and they'll show you just how easy it is to move some of your savings or retirement accounts into gold and silver that holds value and protects your wealth long-term.
To learn more, simply call Lear today at 800-330-4630 or go to learnewworld.com and get their free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There is no obligation. It's just free information. Remember, just call 800-330-4630. And when you call, also ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Call today, 800-330-4630 or go to learnewworld.com. So this money is being legally stolen from us. It's being sent out by the billions to other countries. And then when something like North Carolina happens or something like California happens or Maui happens, they're like, oh, here's $1,000 or here's $750 a family. And it's really criminal. So we just need better accounting. We need better politicians. We need better leaders. And we need to be aware of what these feel-good policies actually look like when emergencies occur.
The realities of it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's shift gears here.
Yeah.
Talking is hard sometimes. What do we have to dive into next here? Because it's been an interesting week on the freedom of speech podcasting side of things as well.
Well, I think the only reason that we even know all of this stuff or this stuff is being able to be brought to our attention now is because we are seeing kind of a return to freedom of speech on our platforms, Meta being one of them, because Mark Zuckerberg has taken to the public eye to publicly declare that there was a lot of censorship going on during the 2020 election.
No, there wasn't. What do you mean?
He claimed there was no censorship going on. Nope. Now he's saying, absolutely, we were under immense pressure. We were being yelled at, boo-hoo-hoo. So we had these third-party fact checkers, which were just a bunch of extreme leftists that were bearing any kind of information, mostly around the pandemic and vaccines and alternate medicines that we now know actually were very effective, thanks to people like Joe Rogan, who doesn't care and just aired it. And so he's now taking to Joe Rogan's show, his podcast. He was just on this week. Very good podcast. Please go listen to it. It's very eye-opening. But they are now saying that Meta, at least, Facebook and Instagram, will no longer be censoring information.
So Mark Zuckerberg came out with a video announcement basically saying that they were going to be modifying things, kind of taking on more so the X approach of enabling freedom of speech more so on his platform. So Facebook, the Instaface, all that, which I think is funny. And the reason I was pointing out that no, there has been no censorship advances because that's always kind of been the narrative that's been pushed out there. You can't take a turn and go back to having a more pro freedom of speech platform if there was no censorship to begin with in the first place.
Right.
The reason we bring this up is because if you watch, us here on the podcast, we always talk about the censorship that we experience on a very small level. Like this is a very small mom and pop operation. We are small potatoes in the world of the internet, Melissa and I
it's
are.
very obvious. Certain
even
topics.
we feel it to give you an idea of how the extent to which this occurs. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, for example, Nevaeh is very popular on the podcast. Anytime we have her on, people like to hear what Nevaeh is up to. Does well. Nevaeh and I did a podcast where we talk about women's rights.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
I say don't say it because if you say it,
this will be
censored.
This will be, still probably will be. But anyway, you can just see, like we saw it out the gate. And then literally normally we'll say an episode gets exposed to 5,000 new eyes. There's charts. We see all the numbers. Oh, 5,000 new people that have never seen your channel explored it on this day. That's pretty average for one. On that episode, new eyes was 437. Literally a tenth of the average new eyes. And it was because, so they don't bury it in a sense that like your people don't see it.
It's a distribution issue.
They
won't be
don't
put out to
distribute
anybody,
it,
right?
which is what Facebook was doing and what
we experienced that on Facebook as well.
Zuckerberg is now saying, yes, what we did was we didn't distribute the content to anyone new. Nobody saw it. Essentially, you had to go looking for it.
Yeah.
So I know like Daily Wire experienced that, and a lot of conservative sites, a lot of like pro-life sites were actually removed. Anybody questioning the jab or anything like that were removed off the platform.
Well, and a lot of this was revealed and confirmed in the release of the Twitter files once Elon acquired Twitter, now X. So it was interesting to see that announcement. I don't trust the guy farther
know.
than I can throw them. I hate to say that. I was happy about the announcement. I'm happy that they're making these changes so long as they follow through on them, because yeah, we should freedom of speech should be a thing. It should be an open forum for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
on any of these platforms.
Do you think it
So,
has to do with Dana White?
in part, apparently now he's on the board,
Right. So,
which I did not know until I watched that podcast.
yeah, Mark Zuckerberg became like,
He's trying to bro out.
he's trying to
That's-
bro out with
yeah.
like Joe Rogan and Dana White, and
He
he's
wants to be
going
in
to
with
the
the cool
fights,
kids,
the
yeah.
UFC fights. It's kind of like the nerdy kid ended up getting accepted onto the football team, or
But
at
I-
least he gets to sit at the lunch
I
table.
still don't trust him. And to go back to that Joe Rogan episode with him that was just released, when he starts talking about AI, he is, being one of the people who's responsible for disseminating this, for pushing this out upon society. I was so disturbed to listen to him minimize seemingly the effect and impact that that's going to have on all of us. I don't like the AI thing,
Right.
but to hear it coming from his mouth in such a nonchalant way,
Somebody
was
who named their platform Meta.
crazy. It was insane. So for he and Elon, I like a lot of the things that each of them have been saying, especially more recently in their involvement with politics, especially for Elon, who's taking on this more conservative take when it comes to things. Of course, I love hearing that, but I still, for whatever reason, cannot trust either one of them wholeheartedly. I don't. I think anytime you have a sole individual that holds that much power in dictating the way that we thrive or not thrive as a whole, as for humanity, it's a very terrifying thing that he or they could be one of the handful of individuals that dictates the way the world goes for all of us in our
Mhm.
day-to-day lives. It's disturbing.
Well, the power that AI and technology have and social media have over people is, you have to be cautious of it. So I think something that I have noticed since the election season is it didn't matter how extreme people were on the left or whatever, people like Mark Zuckerberg, people like Elon Musk, people like RFK. When they came over, there was this total mentality on the right of an enemy of my enemy is my best friend, man. Like, rock on. And I'm kind of like, well, hold on, hold on, because there's this past here, and these are highly intelligent people. I mean, these are highly intelligent people. These are,
Yeah.
like, they see the tide turning. They see, the power switching over to this side. We should switch over to that side because this is the popular side.
And that's how the Zuckerberg announcement came across
Yeah.
to me too. Of like, it's like,
It came
yeah,
across
like
to
you
me
said,
too.
history matters. This is not what you've said and done in the past.
Right.
It was the
You
complete opposite.
showed your
before.
true colors.
Now you want to be on the winning side of things of like, hey, everyone, look at us.
Yeah.
Aren't we like just killing it right now? Aren't we rocking it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't trust it.
Now
Dude.
the red hats and the Elon Musk jumping up at rallies and the Mark Zuckerberg going on popular podcasts and being like, no, I'm here for all of you guys. I love these Republican sites. And
I don't know. I
we
hope
saw the error of our ways. And
I hope we're wrong.
I hope we're wrong too, but I just think that
Power corrupts.
people on the right need to be cautious.
Yes.
Of people coming over all of a sudden, shifting their entire world of view, because I don't know how genuine it is. It could just be a power grab. It could just be like the power shifting over here. We're going to go over here. This is where
Could be just hijacking a movement.
it could. Yeah, exactly. Which people do all the time.
Yeah.
So I know it's really exciting to see powerful, prominent people being on your side, but you have to at least consider the fact that it may not all be genuine, and it's just a word of caution. And I mean, I feel the same way towards Donald Trump. Like, there's a lot of people that will just follow him blindly off a cliff.
No. Yes.
And he's not like the savior to the world.
Nope.
He was better than Kamala Harris in so many ways, and he's got some really great ideas. And I think he did some great things in his first presidency and all of that. But he's not the cure-all for the world.
Yeah, it's not the savior.
It's not like, oh, well, Trump's in now, so we no longer have to worry about being prepared. We no longer have to worry about World War III. We no longer have to worry about anything, no pandemics, like nothing like that, because, well, Trump's here. He's gonna fix everything.
Correct.
Like, we're putting too much into the Elons, into the RFK. Oh, our food will no longer be poisoned because RFK is here to save the day. Like,
Too much faith in people.
yes, like, just
People are not the saviors.
right. Like, Well, we need to put our faith and our trust in God. He's the only one that ultimately has control of things, and stop worshiping and idolizing these people, especially when we don't know their true motives.
Amen, Mama. Kind of a hodgepodge here of a discussion and podcast. We got a lot that's going on.
It's been a weird week.
Weird week. And for you and I, we're juggling like 10 different things simultaneously right now. So let's begin to wind this one down. But we have an announcement about next week and the following week past that. You want to dive into that before we start winding this down?
Yeah. So next week we have the big surprise. We've been talking about it on Gun Simple Living, but we haven't told you guys what it is yet.
I know what it is now.
Jeremy finally knows what it is.
I actually knew all along. I just couldn't recall.
It's like, we have a surprise. Yeah, like he said, we have a lot going on, but we have a big surprise. It's very exciting. And so we will not have an episode here next week on the podcast, but we are coming back with a very exciting guest. Someone with a social media presence, somebody that you guys are going to recognize, love, amazing family. So we're going to sit down couple to couple. It's going to be great, and we can't wait to share with you guys.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So once again, we invite you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let Melissa know that she is
beautiful. It's fine. I know.
Please,
I'm puffy.
Stick it down in the comments. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's what we have going on. We're going to wrap this up, deal with everything else it is that we have to deal with.
Yeah, I gotta go try to teach Eli how to gargle salt water.
So love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here once again. Like I said, regardless of whether or not you are watching and or listening, we appreciate you being here because it makes doing this worthwhile for us. It'd be a little weird to do this if nobody was watching or listening.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. We will see you not next week, but the following week. Until then, take care. Thanks for being here. God bless. We'll see you then.